President Donald Trump of the United States, U.S., has called on the general public, especially married people and intending couples, to make sure the door remains closed, apparently to avoid exposing their marital life to the public. This, he stated on Friday while reacting to a video footage of French President Emmanuel Macron, who was probably seen being slapped by his wife, Brigitte, when the two-first family of France were about to deplane shortly after they arrived at Noi Bai International Airport in Hanoi, Vietnam on May 25, 2025 for an official visit, which stands as the first trip to Vietnam by a French president in nearly a decade. President Emmanuel Macron, who is 47 years old and currently doesn't have a child of his own, at age 15, started having an affair with his La Providence high school teacher, Brigitte, who was almost in her 40th then, married, and she was living with her husband with 3 kids. Although 15 years is the legal age where one can no longer be considered as a minor in France, but Macron parents, who were not happy of seeing their son having an affair with Brigitte, whose 2 out of her 3 children were almost a year older than Emmanuel Macron, tried their best to dissolve the relationship by thus relocating Emmanuel Macron to Paris to continue his education. The efforts of the French president, Emmanuel Macron's parents, to scatter the relationship proved abortive after Emmanuel Macron rounded off his education and switched back his love life to his married old school teacher, Brigitte, who later in January 2006, divorced her husband, who later died on December 24, 2019, and married Emmanuel Macron on the 20th of October 2007. Brigitte's former husband and the father of her 3 children, who are currently in their early and late 40s, of the same age bracket with their stepfather, President Emmanuel Macron, died 2 years after Emmanuel Macron became president of France on May 7, 2017. According to CNN, some beliefs and unwritten laws in France protect the private life of politicians, and when the video footage of Brigitte appears to have slapped the #1 citizen of France, President Emmanuel Macron, the French media only broadcast the video temporarily, and in less than 24 hours, the news of the video was no longer seen on the French media airspace. Macron, shortly after the video footage went viral, dismissed the video and the domestic violence it suggests. Emmanuel Macron claims he simply joked with his wife, as they do quite often. But close watchers observed that when President Emmanuel Macron offered his hand to his wife, as they often do while coming down from the plane stairs, the visibly unhappy Brigitte probably refused, and she was seen walking down the aircraft staircase alone. As the door of the plane opened, Brigitte Macron's arm could be seen eagerly holding a hand to her husband's face. Looking surprised, the head of state quickly turned to say hello out. The presidential couple then got engaged on the stairs, and Emmanuel Macron stretched out his arm to his wife as he usually does. But she didn't grab it and held on to the catwalk, one of the close watchers stated. When President Donald Trump was asked by a reporter about the viral video appearing to show French President Emmanuel Macron being slapped by his wife, Brigitte, as they disembarked from a plane in Vietnam, Trump responded by saying, "Make sure the door remains closed." This week there was a video on board a plane that showed the First Lady of France slapping her husband, Emmanuel Macron. "Do you have any world leader to world leader marital advice?" the reporter asked. "Make sure the door remains closed. That is not good." "No, I spoke to him, and he's fine, they're fine. 2 really good people I know very well. And I don't know what that was all about, but I know him very well, and they're fine," President Donald Trump of the US responded. A Facebook user with an account handle, International Marxist, said, "Emmanuel Macron is a domestic violence victim under extreme control by his wife. Macron's wife's children are older than he is. Macron got together with his wife when he was 15 years old, and she was his 39-year-old married schoolteacher. Macron as a child was groomed and under the control of this adult with authority over him, and this domination and mental control of him by his wife has never stopped. Is Macron mentally and emotionally fit to lead? Get Macron out of power immediately and enter a shelter and therapy to finally escape from the abuse that has had a grip on his mind and life since his childhood. Get Macron the emotional and mental help that he desperately needs instead of in power as a pawn of the ambition of his controller, his abusive predator wife. CNN reported that a quick shove, a split-second clip that would have dominated US news for days, aired in France for just 24 hours and then it was gone. When a viral video appeared over the weekend showing French President Emmanuel Macron's wife, Brigitte, pushing his face just as he was about to deplane during a visit to Vietnam, not a single French newspaper front page featured it the next morning. Was it because Prime Minister François Bayrou was speaking about the financial efforts the French would have to make under his soon-to-be unveiled budget? Or that people were detained recently in a string of crypto kidnappings? More likely, it highlighted a cultural divide between France and the Anglosphere, a long-standing French belief that politicians' private lives should be protected. This secret-keeping tradition kept President François Mitterrand's illegitimate daughter hidden for years. It has also meant a delicate silence around other controversial personal lives, like Dominique Strauss-Kahn's notorious womanizing. The former International Monetary Fund chief's arrest on sexual assault charges in New York in 2011 abruptly ended his political career just as he was emerging as a leading presidential contender. The same unwritten rules surfaced in 2014, when Closer magazine published photos of former President François Hollande, disguised by a motorcycle helmet, arriving at the apartment of a friend, where he was reportedly meeting actress Julie Guyot. At the time, Guyot was his girlfriend, even though he still had a live-in partner, Valérie Trierweiler. The story caused a stir, but Hollande's office condemned the invasion of privacy, and the media soon backed off. At a press conference, Hollande faced only one question about his personal life and deflected it with the remark, "Private affairs are dealt with in private," silencing the throng of French journalists and leaving foreign reporters stunned. So when the video of the Macrons began circulating, the initial media response was swift but short-lived. French outlets played the clip on loop, dissected it briefly, and moved on. ABC News gives some details why Emmanuel Macron was in Vietnam by reporting that French President Emmanuel Macron called on Monday for closer cooperation between Vietnam and France in an increasingly unstable global landscape as he visited Hanoi as part of a Southeast Asia tour focused on strengthening regional ties. Macron emphasized the need for an order based on law, at a time of both great imbalance and a return to power-driven rhetoric and intimidation. He next heads to Indonesia and Singapore. The visit comes amid trade tensions, with the US threatening steep tariffs on goods from Europe. Vietnamese imports to the United States were hit with 46% tariffs, among the highest rates applied to any country. In April, Macron signed more than a dozen agreements on defense, nuclear power and trade, including one with the Vietnamese budget airline company Vietjet and Airbus to buy 20 A330-900 planes. He paid tribute at a Hanoi War Memorial to those who fought the French colonial rulers and met with his counterpart Luong Quang, as well as Communist Party General Secretary to Lam. Macron also visited the 11th century Temple of Literature in the heart of the Vietnamese capital. France and Vietnam's sovereignty partnership could be the central axis of France's approach in the Indo-Pacific, Macron said. France has demonstrated its desire to defend international maritime law when it deployed the French carrier strike group in the South China Sea in early 2025, Macron said. China and Vietnam have long had a maritime agreement governing the Gulf of Tonkin, but have been locked in competing claims in the South China Sea over the Spratly and Paracel Islands and maritime areas. Macron said France would also support Vietnam in key sectors, including critical minerals, high-speed rail, civil nuclear energy and aerospace, and focus on partnering with the Asian nation to help it transition away from dirty coal power while adding new capacity in renewable energy and civil nuclear power. This is Macron's first trip to Vietnam since he took office in 2017. Meanwhile, it was gathered that President Emmanuel Macron's parents originally thought he was seeing Brigitte's daughter, but they were astonished and embarrassed to find out their son had feelings for the teacher, Brigitte, who is currently 72 years old, and they immediately sent Emmanuel to Paris. Brigitte, who is 25 years older than Emmanuel, was already married for over 3 years before he was born in December 1977.
This week there was a video on board a plane that showed the First Lady of France slapping her husband, Emmanuel Macron. Do you have any world leader to world leader marital advice?
Make sure the door remains closed. That was not good. No, I spoke to him, and he's fine too. They're fine. They're two really good people. I know them very well, and I don't know what that was all about, but I know them very well. And
more than 60 people, including soldiers and terrorists, have been killed during the week as Boko Haram terrorists and men of the armed forces of Nigeria, AFN, continued to launch offensive and counter-offensive battles on each other in Borno State, with the Nigerian army saying in a series of news releases issued during the week that 2 of its soldiers paid the supreme price on Tuesday when the Boko Haram terrorists engaged New Mate community in an offensive operation, and more than 60 of the terrorists were killed at Bitter community when troops of the armed forces of Nigeria launched a coordinated offensive attacks against the terrorists on Thursday, and on Friday at Kakawa community. The army said it killed one of the major leaders of the Boko Haram insurgents, Amir Abu Fatima, who has 100 million naira's bounty placed on his head due to his notorious and disastrous activities. It would be recalled that in recent months, the Boko Haram terrorists appeared to be advancing and engaging communities and the Nigeria military in a series of attacks that have forced soldiers in some military base in Borno to flee, the army barracks sacked and burned down, and the governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum, earlier in the month said that, out of 300 communities in Mate local government area, Boko Haram terrorists are currently in control of 299 communities. According to the Nigerian army, in a major counterterrorism success, Special Forces under Operation Hadin-Kai conducted a precision strike on the 30th of May 2025, targeting a key Boko Haram, ISWAP stronghold in the Kakawa axis of northern Borno State. The operation, based on credible intelligence, aimed to neutralize Amir Abu Fatima, a notorious terrorist commander who has a 100 million naira's bounty on his head. During the intense exchange of fire, Abu Fatima was fatally wounded by gunfire. His deputy, several explosives experts, and multiple other terrorists were also eliminated in the confrontation. Troops recovered several AK-47 rifles, magazines, assorted ordnance, and IED-making materials. The mission was completed without casualties on own forces. This operation delivers a significant blow to terrorist leadership in the region and reinforces the armed forces of Nigeria's avowed commitment to restoring peace in the northeast. In a decisive and coordinated operation, gallant troops of Operation Hadin-Kai launched a simultaneous land and air assault on terrorist positions in Bitter, Borno State, in the early hours of today, Thursday, May 29, 2025. The intense battle resulted in the neutralization of at least 60 terrorists. In the early hours of May 27, 2025, troops of Operation Hadin-Kai, OPHK, foiled an attack by Boko Haram, ISWAP terrorists on their location in New Mate, Borno State. The failed attack was repelled by a combined effort of ground forces and the air component of OPHK. The terrorists attempted to infiltrate the troops' location, but were met with heavy gunfire. The air component provided immediate intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance, ISR, and offensive fire support, leading to the decimation of several fleeing terrorists. Regrettably, 2 soldiers paid the ultimate sacrifice during the encounter. However, troops recovered 1 vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, VBIED, SUV abandoned by the terrorists during pursuit. Several motorcycles conveying the terrorists were also destroyed by precision airstrikes. During exploitation of the area, troops discovered lifeless bodies of the terrorists, with traces of blood on their withdrawal routes, indicating additional casualties inflicted on the terrorists. In a related development, troops also repelled a daring attempt by terrorists to attack the forward operating base at Kumshe. The collaborative effort demonstrates the renewed jointness and team spirit in the fight against terrorism, geared towards bringing lasting peace to enable socio-economic activities thrive in the Northeast region. Edo State Governor, Monday Okpebholo of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC on Friday says, his predecessor, Godwin Obaseki, is currently hiding in the United States, US since he allegedly ran away from Nigeria and abandoned Asuan Ighodalo, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the last September 21st governorship election in the state, categorically saying that the PDP is making the people in the state to always celebrate, because, according to Okpebholo, all the money the PDP, the political party of ex-Governor Obaseki, allegedly stole were taken to the State Election Petition Tribunal and Appeal Court with the alleged intention to bribe the judges of the courts, but the courts ruled otherwise and affirmed him as the winner of the Gova poll. Governor Okpebholo offered what he called a political amnesty to his co-contender in the last year governorship election, Asuan Ighodalo, calling on his opponent to accept the decisions of the lower tribunal court and appeal court and decamp from PDP to join APC so that they can work together to move Edo State forward. Details of the report as contained in the news releases made available by the Edo State Governor Chief Press Secretary, Fred Ichua, reads verbatim below. Edo State Governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo, has said the regular defeat of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has given the people continuous cause for celebration. The State Deputy Governor, Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa, party leaders, youths, market women and other party stalwarts, joined the governor on a motorcade around Benin City to celebrate the appeal court judgment which gave victory to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. According to the governor, God will continue to give Edo people victory as he is in charge of affairs of the state. The PDP is making us celebrate in the state. We have defeated them in the governorship election, tribunal and now at the appeal court. We will still defeat them at the Supreme Court. We will continue to defeat them, he said. The governor commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his interest in the state, noting that Edo is enjoying development and growth. According to him, 2027 is a done deal in Edo and Edo people will surely cast their votes for the president come 2027 and nobody can stop Edo people's voice, not even the PDP. All the money they have stolen in Edo State was taken to court to buy judges and judgment, but they failed as judges refused to be bought and they ensured they did the right thing. Those who wanted to steal the people's mandate are crying that their mandate has been stolen. They are following their masters like Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and Mr. Peter Obi, who are leading them to form a coalition which will not stand. The time of PDP is over in Edo State, and under my watch, Edo people will continue to enjoy practical governance and development. The state is experiencing development and growth. The first flyover is under construction at Ikpoba Hill in Ikpoba Oka local government area. The second and third is underway, he added. In a significant show of political magnanimity, Edo State Governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo, has offered an unconditional political amnesty to the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the 21st of September 2024 governorship election in Edo, Mr. Asuan Ighodalo. Governor Okpebholo's offer of political amnesty to Ighodalo, who has been sidelined by his political benefactors, is a show of true sportsmanship. Governor Okpebholo, who described Asuan Ighodalo's discomforting situation since he was defeated during the election as troubling, urged him to join the All Progressives Congress, APC, and contribute meaningfully to the ongoing development efforts across Edo State. I want to publicly invite Mr. Asuan Ighodalo to join us in the APC so that, together, we can advance the cause of development in our dear state. Since his vision aligns with what we are already doing through God's help, we believe he still has a role to play. Godwin Obaseki, who lured Asuan Ighodalo to come and run for elections, is hiding in the United States of America. Half of Obaseki's cabinet members who regarded Ighodalo as their own personal vending machine have all deserted him and are hiding abroad. As a brother who truly cares for Ighodalo's well-being, I believe that this political amnesty will save him from this humiliation and loneliness. As a people, we have a task of ensuring that we continue to develop Edo State, protect our people, and work hard to re-elect President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027. Asu Ighodalo can be useful in these key areas, Governor Okpebholo stated. Emphasizing the need for unity and reconciliation beyond political divides, Governor Okpebholo assured Ighodalo that any past political differences would be set aside if he chooses to accept the unconditional political amnesty. We are ready to forgive and move forward. What matters now is putting Edo State first. The time for politics is over. This is the time to work for the people and ensure that the dividends of democracy reach every corner of the state, he declared. Governor Okpebholo's gesture is a deliberate move to foster peace and heal the divisions that emerged during the last governorship election in Edo State. The Okpebholo-led administration has continued to prioritize peace, security, and sustainable development, and this latest call for unity is another strategic step towards deepening those efforts.
Osazuwa Radio, bringing you the news in a more digital way.